Warning: concentrating hydrogen peroxide is extremely dangerous. Actually, it's totally suicidal. Do not even attempt this. Cody probably wouldn't even try to make this, and that guy's made nitroglycerin, drank cyanide, and uses potassium hydroxide as a condiment. I'm not responsible for anything that you do. So here's a view of my setup. It's just a simple distillation using a gram condenser. The Liebig in the middle is just being used as a spacer with no water flowing through it. It's just there so the receiving flask isn't too close to the boiling flask. Now I'm adding some 34% hydrogen peroxide. I made this previously from a 3% solution. I did this by adding the peroxide to a glass dish, then placed it on a heater for a few days to evaporate off the water. Now I'm just rinsing the funnel with a little distilled water. Okay, time to turn on the vacuum pump and light the burner. The vacuum pump I'm using is a cheap $20 diaphragm pump I got off Amazon. It won't create as strong of a vacuum as, say, a rotary vane pump, but the diaphragm pump won't get destroyed by water vapor. If I were using a rotary vane pump, I'd need some kind of water trap like a cold trap or inline desiccator. As you can see, the hydrogen peroxide is boiling quite vigorously right now. And to be honest, running this experiment was very nerve-wracking. I spent most of my time hiding behind a door, hoping this just doesn't explode on me. But like most things in chemistry, I believe a lot of these dangers are highly exaggerated. As you can see here, the temperature is rising as the peroxide becomes more and more concentrated. And here we're getting our first few drops of hydrogen peroxide coming over. I have it in an ice water bath just to keep it cool to limit evaporation since it is under vacuum. Now these first few drops are going to be quite dilute because the water is going to be coming over first, but it'll become stronger and stronger as the distillation progresses. And here is my incredibly cinematic pan of the entire apparatus while it's running. Actually, this was a very shaky shot, but I was able to fix it in the video editor. Checking on our temperature again, we're at 74.7 C and rising. And here's an overview of my precarious setup. You can see here, as it starts to boil down, the peroxide becomes a little bit more viscous. Like I said before, as this reaction progresses, the temperature is going to keep rising, and right now we're at over 82 degrees C. Now, if you haven't already noticed, I don't have Keck clips on all the joints, and that's because if this does explode, I'm hoping it'll just push out, the stoppers and everything and not blow the glassware up on me. The higher the temp gets, the more nervous I get. I'm already at 97 C, so it's definitely some pretty strong peroxide because when I tested water, my vacuum pump will make it boil at about 74 degrees C. So I definitely know there's not a lot of water left in that at that point. Now, even under vacuum, we're well over the boiling point of water. So I end up stopping this reaction around 106 C. And this is what was left in the boiling flask. You can see it's a nice oily liquid. It's quite concentrated peroxide there. And here's our distillate, free of any stabilizers. It's probably around 20-25%. Okay, I'm going to test my distillate here by adding a few milliliters to a test tube. And I'm going to add some manganese dioxide. And you can see from the reaction here, it's a lot more vigorous than if this were 3% peroxide. So just by the way it looks around 20-25%. I haven't measured the density of it. but after filling the test tube it was quite warm, and 3% doesn't do that. And here I'm going to test what was left in the boiling flask. This should be very concentrated peroxide, probably over 75–80%, maybe higher. Same test as before, manganese dioxide is being added to it, and as you can see it's a lot more vigorous. And since there are stabilizers in this, I can't really just measure the density. I'd have to actually titrate it to find out how strong this actually is. Here I'm adding the concentrated peroxide to a piece of paper towel to see how strong of an oxidizer it is. Now I'm going to add a couple drops while it's still glowing. This is going to be the same test as before, only this time I'm using a bit of coffee filter. And as you can see, I'm definitely laying it on heavy. For the next test, I'm going to add some isopropyl alcohol to a little aluminum foil cup I made, and mix some hydrogen peroxide with that and light it on fire. That looks like that would make some pretty good rocket fuel, don't you think? Okay, and for the next test, I'm going to be adding some lamp oil to the hydrogen peroxide, and once again lighting on fire and see how it reacts. And now my table's on fire. See, I told you this was dangerous. Okay, well that was fun. And since I don't learn, now I'm going to try it with some acetone. And for the final test, I'm going to try it with some lighter fluid. Well, I hope you all had as much fun as I did. So leave a like, rate, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff us YouTubers beg for, and see you next time.